So we're about 2 months away from the 2026 NFL draft, and I wanted to do a new mock draft today, but kind of implement something new that I haven't really done so far, trades. So yeah, today we're going to be doing an updated mock draft right before free agency starts with some trades going down. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? These are just some hypothetical trades that I would like to see happen this offseason. I'm not saying all of these are going to happen, but you could definitely see the reasoning for one of these happening at one point over the next month or so. We're definitely going to see some trades happen at the end of February, but more likely in the beginning of March, especially when free agency starts a couple weeks into the month of March. So I'd love to know your guys' maybe mock trades for the offseason. I'm thinking about doing like 10 to 15 mock trade ideas on the channel for this NFL offseason, just kind of different ideas that we can end up talking about going forward. And if you have any trades that I don't even mention today that you think could be a fun possibility on the night of the 2026 draft, maybe teams trading up, trading down, or maybe a player's getting moved for a draft pick, let me know down below. So we're going to start things off with the Raiders, and I believe they're not going to trade out of number one. Now, I don't think it's a pure lock that Fernando Mendoza is going to be the best player in this draft and is going to be worthy of the number one overall pick as a franchise quarterback. I think there's a lot of things he's going to have to work on in the NFL level, and how completely different this style under Clint Kubiak is going to be from what he was running in the specific offense. A lot of RPOs he was running at Indiana last year with Curt Cignetti. He's going to have Brock Bowers. He's going to have Ashton Genty. We'll see if they add to the offensive line as well this offseason. I don't think they'd trade out of this. It would have to take a haul, and they would have to really, I guess, enter the trade market in a way. Like they would have to pick up a Kyler Murray or somebody like that. I just don't think you could sell to the fan base that idea going forward. And I think you have a chance to take somebody that could be a franchise quarterback for you at the top of the draft. They're going to have to take that. So here at number 2 with the Jets, I think there's 3 different guys that can end up going here. They're obviously all on the defensive side of the ball. It's Ruben Bane, it's David Bailey, or it is Arvell Reese. I just don't feel the Jets are going to be the Ruben Bane team at number 2. That's probably who I would take out of these 3. I'm still watching them a little bit more to figure out who I like the most out of those 3 for the Jets. I don't think I like David Bailey the most, so it kind of comes down between Bane or Reese. That's what I would do at number 2. But if I'm predicting what's going to happen, I think a lot of people out of the Jets camps and kind of like their beat writers and a lot of the national media thinks that David Bailey could go as high as number 2 in this draft, which means Arvell Reese would drop a little bit. I'm going to have David Bailey go number 2 to the Jets here. I wouldn't do it. I think I would take Arvell Reese. And if you wanted to go the pure edge rusher, I would go Ruben Bane over David Bailey. But that's just kind of what I'm reading right now. So it feels like that is going to be the end-all be-all. And maybe I'll do a GM mock draft on what I would do at one point as well. I'd like to do a big board this year. I didn't get to do one last year going forward. So at number 3 here for the Cardinals, I think there's a couple different options that they can end up going with. I mean, I like the idea of Francis Mauigoa here at number 3. We'll see if executives in front offices feel like Fano and Mauigoa are the top 2 tackles in this draft and are worthy of going in the top 6, which they probably should. But I think if Arvell Reese falls to number 3, that's who the Cardinals are going to take. Now, they did just bring in an offensive-minded head coach in Matt LaFleur. Who knows what's going to happen with Kyler Murray over these next few weeks, but I do think they can go in the direction of just taking best player available. I think they would go with a tackle over David Bailey if Arvell Reese went number 2. But if Arvell Reese falls to number 3 and they can kind of plug him and play him all over the field, they're going to do so. So at number 4 here for the Titans, there's a lot of fun options and fun possibilities with them, but I think they just want a playmaker on that defensive line going forward. They need a receiver. They need a running back. I don't think they're going to be the team that selects Jordyn Tyson or Cardinal Tate here. Definitely not Jeremiyah Love, but hey, you never know. They don't have the worst offensive line in the world. It's not good, but at least they have invested in that positional group over the last few years. I think it's going to be Ruben Bane Jr. I think Ruben Bane has probably maybe the highest floor out of any of these guys between Reese, Bailey, and Bane going forward. He was just so dominant at the start of the year and finished off so strong for the Miami Hurricanes. I think he's got the potential to being the best player in this draft, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's like my number 1 player on my big board by the end of the day. I feel like any Ruben Bane highlight this year, I was just wowed. So the Giants here at number 5, this is honestly a perfect kind of, I guess, top 4 for them right now, because I don't think the Giants were going to take Arvell Reese. You never know. Maybe they were, but Bailey, Reese being off the board, they could take one of the tackles or they could take a receiver here at number 5. To be honest with you, like I would take Francis Mauigoa. I feel like that is a guy that could just protect Jackson Dart going forward, but you're going to lose Wan'Dale Robinson in free agency. You have the possibility of Malik Neighbors, maybe not looking 100%. It's an ACL tear in the big year 2026. Like he's going to be fine. Maybe it takes him a little bit of time, especially if like camp gets delayed or anything like that. And I view Jordyn Tyson as the best receiver in this draft. I think, though, if there's going to be a receiver off the board first, it is going to end up being, I think it's going to end up being Cardinal Tate. So I'm going to have Cardinal Tate go to the Giants at number 5. I think they should take offensive linemen. I would even think about trading down and looking at Mansour Delane or Jermod McCoy or even Caleb Downs, whoever you like the most out of those guys. But it feels like the Giants might end up going receiver at number 5. Now, the Browns here at number 6 have basically everybody on this offensive line hitting free agency, right? You have Joel Bitonio, Cam Robinson, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin, just like everybody on this offensive line is a free agent, and maybe they're bringing back 1 or 2, but I think they need to look into offensive linemen going forward. And I think if Francis Mauigoa falls to number 6, they have to jump all over that. I just feel like there's a really good chance that one of him or Fano is on the board, and the Browns are not taking their quarterback here in the future at number 6. I'm also like in the camp that they can go receiver if they really like Jordyn Tyson or Cardinal Tate. I don't think Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy is pretty much the future for this Browns offensive receiving core. So if one of them's there, sure. But I think if Mauigoa is there, you got to go with him at number 6. Now we're on the clock at 7 with the Washington Commanders. I've mocked Caleb Downs a ton to this team so far, and I just don't know if Sonny Styles is going to end up being a top 10 pick. I mean, I could definitely see them going receiver as well with Deebo Samuel moving on in this offseason and them not really having that many playmakers outside of Terry McLaurin for Jaden Daniels next year. Heck, they could go Jeremiyah Love to get that franchise running back with the 7th overall pick. That's definitely a possibility. I mean, is there an interior offensive lineman? Are they going to take Vega Ioane here? No, not at number 7. But they could also be a trade down team as well. I mean, they're an interesting team if somebody wants to move up in a way. I just don't know if anybody's moving up kind of in this range. It does feel like a weird period right now. So I think I'm just going to have them go Caleb Downs. I'm kind of bored of mocking it, but I just feel like it makes a ton of sense for them just to get this Swiss Army knife defensively that could just kind of line up in the box, that can maybe be a slot corner at times or just kind of line up in the dime packages. And he's just going to be somebody that is going to be a downhill attacker. He's a really good athlete. I don't know if he's like the best athlete in this class, but I think he's a very safe prospect. And if they're going to take somebody defensively, I would just want to go with one of the safer options. So we're on the clock here at number 8 with the New Orleans Saints. And I think they're a team that could also target a receiver or a running back here. And I like the idea. I think I like the idea of either Jordyn Tyson or Makai Lemon. It feels like Makai Lemon would fit their style a little bit more with Kellen Moore. Maybe somebody that they could line up in the slot a little bit more as well compared to Jordyn Tyson. I mean, it's just kind of where they view Olave going forward. As you can kind of see, Lemon had 283 snaps out of the slot last year. Tyson had 81. We think Makai Lemon goes 8 in a way, and kind of like Roma Dunze's hype back from a couple drafts ago in a way. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I don't hate the idea of Jeremiyah Love, but I don't think they're going to end up going that route. I doubt they even trade like Alvin Kamara or even entertain those trade ideas this offseason as well. I just don't think there's going to be a good enough defensive lineman unless they really like Caleb Banks or Peter Woods if they're going to go somebody there. I'm going to have Makai Lemon go number 8 to the New Orleans Saints. I don't really know how I feel about that one, but I'm going to have them go kind of a little bit more of a fit receiver. I have Jordyn Tyson as my wide receiver 1. I mean, I've just loved Jordyn Tyson for the last 2 years now, and I don't know if it's like prospect fatigue in a way where people are just kind of like talking about him for so long and just for so much that it's just like, yeah, it is kind of what it is at this point. And now we're just kind of looking at Makai Lemon, who people were talking about throughout the season, and he was the Blitnikoff winner this year. So I'm thinking about one of my first trade downs here in a way, and that could be the Kansas City Chiefs, where they could look to accumulate a little bit more draft capital in a way. And I wonder if the Cowboys would want to leapfrog the Bengals and the Dolphins, 2 teams that definitely need secondary help, and they get one of their own. So I'm going to have the Chiefs, I think, trade down here with number 12. I don't know what they would pick up in a way. I mean, you're obviously not getting pick 20. The Cowboys do have 2 first-round picks next year. Actually, they're only going to have 1 at the end of the day from the Quinn and Williams trade, but maybe they would get like 112. Maybe they would get a future 3rd or something like that. I'm not really going to worry about those picks too much, but I'm going to want to have the Dallas Cowboys trade up to number 9 as one of my first trades here. And I'm going to have them take Mansour Delane, who I think is probably the safest, but has probably the best chance on being the best corner in this draft, as well as like your best man-to-man corner. They did take a LSU corner way back when they took Morris Claiborne highly in the draft, but you could take Delane. They moved on from Diggs and Duron Bland going forward. They need to overhaul this defense. Bane, Reese, and those guys and Bailey are off the board. Caleb Downs is off the board as well. maybe you like the way that this draft has fallen and you think that you can get Sonny Styles at 12 and you're cool with that. But I like the idea of them maybe not having to give up a ton to go to number 9 and take Mansour Delane. And the Chiefs, I think, can realize that maybe they're not going to lose who they would really want at number 9 either. So we're on the clock with the Bengals here at number 10. I think they're a little bit upset that Delane kind of went off the board. And I like Delane more than Styles, like individually. And I think corner is a more important position than when Sonny Styles plays, but I do think Sonny Styles could be in play for the Bengals here at number 10. They traded Logan Wilson last year. They've invested in the defense a lot in round 1 as of late with Miles Murphy a couple years ago, Shamar Stewart in last year's draft. Neither one of them have really fully panned out either going forward, and they just need to hit on a first-round pick. It's just kind of been miss after miss after miss ever since they took, like, honestly, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in the first round back in 2020 and in 2021. So that is my top 10 so far. It's looking a little bit different now, and I think the trade wrinkle is really interesting throughout this. And we're on the clock with the Dolphins here at number 11, another team that would love to get a cornerback here with this position. I mean, would they trade away Jalen Waddle this offseason? And they look at Jordyn Tyson, who for some reason feels like he's just falling in the mock drafts. Like, I'm pretty sure in Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, he ended up going like 14th to the Baltimore Ravens and was like the last wide receiver off the board. So the Dolphins here at number 11, I'm going to have them take Jermod McCoy. Obviously did not play at all last year with the ACL tear. So that might honestly drop him in this draft. You never know. Teams could definitely be a little bit skeptical. We'll see how the medicals look throughout the combine and as we learn more about that going forward. But if you do believe McCoy can go back to what he was in 2024 and could be a CB1 that he was kind of on track to be in this year's class, the Dolphins just need anybody with a pulse in that secondary. So the Chiefs are going to trade down. Who knows? I mean, there's two guys that I love here. It's either Jeremiyah Love or it's Jordyn Tyson in a way. I mocked him so much to the Chiefs too, but I just think like you can get a true elite running back with the 12th overall pick. I would be on board with Jordyn Tyson 100%. I thought I was going to trade down and take Kenyon Sadiq, who is going to maybe be a Kansas City Chief. Who knows what's going on with Travis Kelce. I don't think Sadiq is going in the top 12 originally. And I just feel like that could be a good fit. I mean, Tyson makes a ton of sense. Who knows what's going on with Rashee Rice next year? Is he going to be suspended? Is he going to be in jail? Like, nobody knows at this point. But this team has had such just like an underwhelming running game for the last few years, and you're bringing over Eric Bieniemy. He's got a better running style to himself than what Matt Nagy had over the last few years, and you're getting like a top 5 player individually in this class. Now, when you take into account positional value, Jeremiyah Love is not top 5, but this man could truly be the best running back we have seen get drafted in a little bit, like since Bijan Robinson. So a couple drafts, I do think he has the potential to being better than Ashton Genty as well. So we're on the clock here at number 13 with the Rams. Couple different guys they can go with as well. I mean, this is a team that needs a corner. I'm going to have a trade with that idea later on. You're not taking a Ty Simpson here. I mean, you could look at Spencer Fano, who I think could end up falling here to, 13 could be his absolute floor. I think maybe in most mocks you've seen, he's probably gone a little bit higher because I've already mocked in the past like Mauigoa 3 and I've done Spencer Fano 6, which can definitely be an option as well. I mean, maybe Washington would take a tackle, but they traded for Tunsil last offseason. The Saints are not taking a tackle. I doubt the Bengals are taking a tackle. You never know with the Bengals. Maybe they would. The Dolphins kind of need everything. The Chiefs could take a tackle. So there's definitely a possibility where Spencer Fano is off the board, but I think we want to continue to protect Matthew Stafford going forward. Rob Havenstein retired this offseason. Boom, there you go, Spencer Fano in the mix. And yeah, I'm going to have Jordyn Tyson off the board here at 14. Like I said, he could have gone anywhere up here, to be honest with you. He can go 11 to the Dolphins, 12 to the Chiefs if they were to trade down. He can go as high as 7 to the Commanders. He could realistically go as high as 4 to the Titans at the end of the day. And the Baltimore Ravens definitely need another playmaker from Lamar Jackson. You need to maximize this window with Lamar Jackson being as athletic as he is in the prime of his career. Stop making the pass catchers an upgrade on the back burner, right? Like you have Zay Flowers, who I think could be a great wide receiver 2 for you next year. Go out and get Jordyn Tyson, who could be the wide receiver 1 for this team moving forward. You re-sign Tyler Linderbaum. You have a new offensive-minded guy going forward in Declan Doyle. Obviously, a new head coach in Jesse Minter moving forward. So we're on the clock here, 15 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't mind the idea. I mean, somebody brought it up in my prediction video as well. You kind of bump Kalijah Kancey on the defensive line, and you just get like beefy up there and you get Peter Woods, or you take Caleb Banks. I don't hate that idea. I don't mind Keldric Faulk here at 15. Sonny Styles is off the board. I don't think they would end up going CJ Allen at 15. I don't know about Kenyon Sadiq either. So I think I would actually have them going Keldric Faulk. The Hassan Reddick experiment didn't really work out too much last year, but if they want to go that idea with maybe bumping Kalijah Kancey, now you could have like Vita Vea and Peter Woods, or Vita Vea and Caleb Banks on the defensive line. Definitely makes a ton of sense for me, and actually would be very intimidating going forward. But the Bucs just desperately need a premier edge rusher. Who knows? Maybe they're a Denzel Boston team or a Jordyn Tyson team as well, just because where's Mike Evans going next year? So we're on the clock here with the Jets at number 16. I don't think they would take Ty Simpson here, to be honest with you. So I think this is where they could end up just taking best player available, and that would either be Cashius Howell or Peter Woods or Caleb Banks. I'm going to have them go Peter Woods. Peter Woods was like going to be a top 5 pick going into the year. Obviously, a lot of guys on Clemson had their draft stock take a massive hit this year, which is them being a very underwhelming team. But I feel like you can go, you can't really go wrong with Banks or Woods here. I like both those guys more than like Kenneth Grant, who went in this range last year. I wasn't the biggest fan of Kenneth Grant, and he didn't work out a lot, but you had guys like Walter Nolan work out and Derek Harmon work out in their rookie years. And Mason Grant had his moments as well. So I'm going to have the Jets go Peter Woods at 16. So we're on the clock here at 17 with the Detroit Lions. I'm sure they would maybe have a conversation about Avieon Terrell. They could be a trade down team also in this class. And I feel like this could end up being Cashius Howell. It could be Avieon Terrell. It could end up being Vega Ioane here out of Penn State. It could be Kadyn Proctor. Some people really like Kadyn Proctor and think he's the best offensive tackle in this draft. But I'm going to have them take Cashius Howell. I feel like we just need another edge rusher on that defensive line opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. So we're on the board here with the Minnesota Vikings at 18. They could also use a ton this offseason as well. I feel like corner could be a position of upgrade, like last year with Rodgers and Murphy. We're fine under Brian Flores. I mean, you can also look to just kind of improve the offensive line around JJ McCarthy, whoever they bring in throughout the offseason as well. But I'm going to bring in Avieon Terrell. I do think we're going to see 3 corners go in the top 20. Last year, we only saw, one corner? Well, I guess 2. Yeah, right, because Travis Hunter ended up going 2, and then we had Jahdae Barron go a little bit later, but like Will Johnson fell out of the first round completely. So we're on the clock here with the Panthers at 19. I mean, I wonder if the Eagles would get a little bit, intrigued about moving up here. They would trade 23 for 19. They could throw in 98. They could throw in 136 or something like that, because I also might have them recouping some draft capital. So they would throw in some future picks. The Eagles tend to get a ton of comp picks throughout the Howie Roseman era as well. So we're going to move from 23 to 19 with the Eagles, or they're going to trade up. Hold on, sorry, I have to force this trade. And then they are going to get the number 1 tight end in this class, Kenyon Sadiq. So yeah, Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon, a plus blocker, a plus athlete, a great receiver, not like a perfect, I think, in everything. He's just kind of like really good in most tight end traits, and I think is by far and away the tight end 1 in this class. It's a weaker tight end class as well, depending on who you even have as your second tight end. Is it an Eli Stowers? Is it a Michael Trigg? Is it a Marlon Klein? Like, there's a bunch of different guys here. Max Clare, like, that can obviously go mid-round 2 or something like that, but I think there's only one tight end that will go in round number 1, and that's Kenyon Sadiq. And Dallas Goedert's kind of on a weird contract right now, and I don't think Sadiq falls outside the top 22-ish picks going forward. So we're on the clock here with the Cowboys at number 20. I mean, I'm sure they would really like Cashius Howell, but he doesn't end up making it. At number 9, we ended up getting maybe the best corner in this draft in Mansour Delane. I would like them to get an edge rusher. Akheem Mesidor is somebody that can kind of come in right away. He's on the older side, and maybe that's what they're looking for, than the high upside swing in TJ Parker. I don't think we're going to see. So I think both these guys can go in round 1. I think Zion Young could end up going in round 1. Ramel Height could end up going in round 1. Like, you never know at the end of the day. I think the Cowboys would want to get Akheem Mesidor. So maybe this is a little bit high at number 20, but you're landing Mesidor and you're landing Mansour Delane in this draft class. Like, that's what I'm talking about for the Dallas Cowboys under Brian Schottenheimer next year. So we're on the clock here with the Steelers at 21. And yeah, you could say Ty Simpson. I don't think they would end up taking one here. Maybe they would, right? Maybe this is like basically the range of where they took Kenny Pickett a couple years ago. They could feel comfortable using the 21st overall pick on Ty Simpson, but I mean, Calvin Austin's going to be gone next year. They're already paying DK Metcalf top 7 wide receiver money. Not looking like a good contract so far. Who knows if Aaron Rodgers is going to be back, and who knows who the quarterback's going to be next year. They got to get somebody like Denzel Boston in the mix, like a true guy that you can play out wide with DK Metcalf. I don't know if you're going to really be able to play him in the slot whatsoever either, but this man can get downfield, good contested catch good athlete, great speed, and that's just kind of what they need. I would love for the Steelers to end up with like a McCoy or a Delane or somebody like that. I think they could use another corner. I think Vega Ioane could be a pick there, but this is where I'm going to have Vega Ioane. This is like a slam dunk pick for the Chargers at 22. If the Steelers replace Suamalo with Ioane, I would be perfectly fine with that as a Steelers fan. I don't mind them beefing up the offensive line for their eventual, hopefully, franchise quarterback, or at least their next starting quarterback going forward. Ioane could definitely go higher in this draft. Like, who knows? Maybe he goes as high as 14 to the Ravens. Maybe he goes as high as 11 to the Miami Dolphins, where we saw like Tyler Booker and Kelvin Banks go last year. In a way, we still have long ways away to the draft. So we're on the clock here with the Panthers at 23, who picked up some picks as well throughout this draft. And we are going to have them select Caleb Banks. Get Caleb Banks on that defensive line with Derek Brown. And we are now building something in Carolina. I think CJ Allen could be potentially a pick here, or Lee Hunter as well out of Texas Tech. But I'm going to have them select Caleb Banks. I don't think there's really a receiver or maybe a corner that they would end up taking here going forward, because I had Terrell go to the Vikings at 18. So we're on the clock here with the Browns again at 24. We ended up getting Francis Mauigoa at number 6, so I really like that for them so far. They could be a KC Concepcion team. I really like Omar Cooper the more I watch him. I think he's actually better than maybe Chris Bell or Concepcion, but I don't know if those guys are going to go higher in this draft than or Cooper's going to go higher than those guys. So I think they could look at Caleb Lomu here. I think they can look at Kadyn Proctor here as well. So it's really which tackle you like more. And now you're drafting 2 tackles for the future, which I kind of love. So I'm going to have them go Kadyn. It's tough between these guys. I don't really know which one I like more. I wonder who's going to end up going higher on the night of the draft. I feel like Proctor has more upside and Lomu's got a higher floor, but it's like, what do you want going forward if you are the Cleveland Browns? So 25, another trade here. This one is more of a hypothetical player trade, which I got a couple here in this range. I have 3 coming up in the next 7 picks. This one is going to send the 25th overall pick to the Las Vegas Raiders for Max Crosby. It's some type of DJ Moore and the 25th overall pick for Max Crosby type trade. It's something we're going to see mocked all offseason long, and it really makes sense for both teams. So we're just going to send 25 to the Raiders here. This is going to be, Max Crosby going on that defensive line with Montez Sweat going forward, and they pick up Odangbo last offseason and Grady Jarrett as well. So 25, the Raiders already get Fernando Mendoza in this class. Another team that could look for an offensive lineman, I would say, and I think Caleb Lomu being on the board, you would have him, Colton Miller, JPJ, and then maybe they sign somebody in free agency going forward. Maybe they really like a Monroe Freeling. Maybe they end up liking, I don't know, one of the other offensive linemen in this class that they think they can go in round number 1. So I'm going to have them take Caleb Lomu here. You're basically adding an offensive tackle. Maybe you end up getting more for that trade. It's just a hypothetical Max Crosby to Chicago. And here's another trade that I do have. Maybe they're trading away Deion Dawkins. They're just clearing up cap space because I want to see, I don't know, maybe this is too fantasy land of me, but I want to see A.J. Brown play with Josh Allen. By far the best quarterback he would have, or excuse me, best receiver he would have since Stephon Diggs and A.J. Brown. Josh Allen would be the best quarterback he's ever had in his career. So we're getting, we're getting A.J. Brown to Buffalo in this hypothetical. Who knows if A.J. Brown's going to get moved? We haven't really had the Eagles come out and say they're maybe shopping A.J. Brown, or anybody report that, or A.J. Brown hasn't requested a trade. So maybe this is just all of us throwing out some speculation. But while the speculation could be there, I just love the idea of A.J. Brown in Buffalo. So we're on the clock here with the Eagles at 26. They already added 1 pass catcher in this draft in Kenyon Sadiq. I think they could look at an edge rusher, and that could be either TJ Parker or that could be Zion Young. The more I watch him, freak athlete. I think he could definitely go here 26 to the Eagles. I'm going to have them go TJ Parker here, though, out of Clemson. I think a little bit of a safer pick, somebody that can make more of an impact right away for this defense that definitely felt a little bit of a loss of Josh Sweat leaving for Arizona last offseason, but still has some playmakers on that front 7. So we're on the clock here with the 49ers at 27. They could go a bunch of different routes as well. I think I would like to see them maybe add one of the safeties in this class. I think there's 2 that can end up going in the first round on top of Caleb Downs. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is who I'm going to have go here, but I don't know, Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, he had him go super high in this class, and I think that there's a possibility he's going in the top 16. I think these safeties, him and Dylan Thieneman, could also be first round picks joining Caleb Downs. So we're on the clock here at 28 with the Texans. Too bad there's no like running back that makes a ton of sense for this team as well. I think Lee Hunter could be a fun pick. I think Caden McDonald could be a fun pick as well. I mean, I don't think they would end up going receiver. Do you just add another corner, just like the rich get richer? Maybe this is where I think a team would trade up, though, into the first round with the Texans. They traded out of the first round last year, picked up Ariante Ursary. Maybe they do the same if a team is interested in picking up Ty Simpson. And maybe we have some type of 34 to 28 trade. They move up 6 spots, the Cardinals, because we know, I mean, the Jets could definitely move up for Ty Simpson and they'd probably have a better offer than Arizona, but the Raiders aren't offering up. None of these teams are trading up for a quarterback. I don't think the Rams are. So yeah, the Cardinals might not have the too much competition unless like the Browns get involved, and who knows if the Steelers try to move up or anybody like that. But yeah, we are basically going to get the Arizona Cardinals moving up to pick 28. And we are going to have them select Ty Simpson. So they end up getting Arvell Reese earlier at number 3. Maybe now in hindsight, Francis Mauigoa at 3. And now you have him as a protector for Ty Simpson going forward. But either way, Mike LaFleur gets his potential franchise quarterback there with the trade up in Ty Simpson, who I do think could be a first-round quarterback at the end of the day, but he just doesn't have as much experience as you would like for somebody you're using a first round pick on. 29, this is where I have another trade. Now, this one has been mocked all offseason long so far, and I just think it makes a ton of sense for both teams in a way, and it's just the Kansas City Chiefs getting the 29th overall pick in exchange for Trent McDuffie. So I actually could have had a player here. That's on me. I could have actually thrown the players in here. So this one is, Trent McDuffie going to the Rams for pick 29. Maybe the 93rd pick's got to be in here or something like that. But yeah, McDuffie is on the move. He's going to the Rams, a team that needs somebody in that secondary going forward. They have 2 first-round picks. They were able to keep their first-rounder at 13, where I had Spencer Fano go, and now you can land Trent McDuffie, who could be a CB1 for you. You have cap space to extend him. So with the Chiefs, I ended up going Jeremiyah Love at number 12. You can maybe look at the successor to Chris Jones. I mean, there's like CJ Allen still on the board, but I don't know. I mean, like they're going to probably lose Leo Chanel, but you end up, I mean, they paid Nick Bolton a little bit ago. If I were them, I would take Omar Cooper here, but I feel like if they would trade up and they would take a receiver, which I'm going to have them go here, I don't know if they would take a tackle. I'm going to have them take KC Concepcion out of Texas A&M and get that true playmaker. Maybe he's a little bit too similar at times to Xavier Worthy, and that could scare you in a way. But I think it's just like the Chiefs landing a receiver. So we're on the clock here at 30 with the Denver Broncos, another team that could look to maybe trade out of the first round. But I love the idea of CJ Allen and Denver just adding to that defensive unit. They could also be a Lee Hunter team or a Caden McDonald team with John Franklin Myers potentially leaving them in free agency. We're on the clock here at 31 with the Patriots. Monroe Fueling, I think, makes a ton of sense out of Georgia. Opposite side of Will Campbell. God forbid down the line, you actually have to bump Will Campbell inside because of the arm length or anything like that. Fueling gives you just more security there on the exterior. And then lastly, at 32, I'm going to have there's a couple guys that I think the Seahawks can take. I think Dylan Thieneman would not really make a ton of sense with them and Warrior there, but just another playmaker in that secondary would be fun. They're going to lose some guys, though. Keith Abney out of Arizona State. Keontae Scott, though, out of Miami could potentially be a first-rounder, but I like Brandon Cisse a ton out of South Carolina, which I think just makes a ton of sense. And yeah, that is my first-round mock draft with a bunch of trades. We had the Cowboys trade up to number 9 with the Chiefs to take Mansour Delane, so the Chiefs traded down a little bit, still end up with Jeremiyah Love. We had the Eagles trade up with the Panthers to guarantee themselves Kenyon Sadiq. I think the Panthers could also look at Kenyon Sadiq as well. We had, the Panthers trade down. They still end up with Caleb Banks. You have the Raiders trading Max Crosby to the Bears. They take Caleb Lomu to protect Fernando Mendoza, who went number 1. We had the Eagles trade away A.J. Brown to the Buffalo Bills, and they took T.J. Parker. And then we also had the the Chiefs trade away Trent McDuffie to the Rams, and they ended up taking the wide receiver out of A&M. So I hope you guys did enjoy this mock draft with trades. This will probably be my last mock draft till the combine and free agency, probably after a free agency, once we know where some of the big dominoes fall as well. So if you guys do enjoy the mock drafts, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Would love to know in the comments your trade ideas as well. Maybe mock draft trade ideas. Let me know. I'm probably going to drop some type of trade mock video like that coming out next week. So make sure you're subscribed. Catch y'all on the next one.